Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how to macro in the new Grow a Garden 2 update so that you can get all of these rarest seeds and all of the rarest gears in the gear shop so that you can grow absolutely massive plants like this 181-foot acorn tree, 142-foot cherry tree. And the macro can even automatically harvest and replant your crops so that you can make millions while you're not even playing the game. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is you need to have AutoHotkey installed on your computer. So you can do that by going to autohotkey.com, which I'll link in the description, and then you need to click this green download button. And then you don't want to download v2.0, you will actually want to download v1.1. So then you're going to download that. It'll download this setup file, and then once that's done downloading, you can just run that and go through the process to install AutoHotkey on your computer. I'm not going to do that because I already have it installed. Then you need to go to my GitHub page so you can get the actual macro. I'll also leave that linked in the description, but if you do actually already have the macro from the previous update, then you do not need to reinstall it. You can just open it again and it'll prompt you and say, hey, this new version is released, would you like to install it? And then you can just click yes, and it'll automatically download and install the new macro for you. Okay, so if you do not have it though, you need to go to here, and then you want to scroll down to where it says source code zip, click on that to download it, and then it will download the macro. You can click open file, and then you're going to right click, click extract all, then click browse, and you can put it wherever you want. I'm just going to put mine on my desktop. Then you can click select folder, and then extract. And then once it's done extracting, it will open it up for you just like this. So the way you're going to run the macro is you want to open up this file named macro.ahk, so you can just double click on it. And then the macro should pop up on your screen. Now we're going to go over all of the settings in the macro and how to use it so you can make the most use out of it. Okay, so first there's 3 buttons on this main menu. Let's take a look at the shops. So it has a seeds shop, gears shop, and the props shop. If you click on one of these, it'll show checkboxes with all of the items in that shop. So you can use the checkboxes to individually select the seeds you would like it to buy, or you can use this button down here that says select all, and we'll just select all of them. Now, personally, the settings I use for this is if you have below 10 million shekels, you should be buying bamboo, mushrooms, and anything above grapes. But if you have above 10 million shekels, don't buy bamboo. It's not going to make you that much anymore. But you can still buy mushrooms. They do actually make quite a lot. And then I would only buy like the seeds that are actually worth it. So that would be like cherry, sunflower, Venus flytrap, pomegranate, poison apple, venom's bitter, moon bloom, and dragon's breath. Then in the gears shop, we have all of the gears here. I would only recommend buying the gears that help you with growing things. It's not really worth it to be macroing gears for stealing, unless for some reason you really like playing in public servers and stealing stuff from people, but that is not the best way to make shekels, so I don't recommend doing that. What I would do is, if you have a lot of shekels, you should be buying watering cans, and then you should be getting all of the sprinklers as well as the super watering can. But if you do not have that many shekels, just leave all the sprinklers on, turn off the 2 watering cans, because you still need these 3 sprinklers. If you have like 50 or more of these 3 sprinklers, then you can turn those off and only be buying legendary and super sprinklers. just to save you that little bit of extra money. So I'm just going to be buying these two. And then for props, I don't really recommend buying any of these. If the only thing maybe would be like if you want a teleporter pad or something, because it's rarely in stock, but other than that, it's not really worth it to macro props. Then the settings tab. So you go to the settings menu and you have 5 tabs: general, Roblox, hotkeys, positioning, and reconnect. So first up we have, in the general tab, we have auto align camera. 100% leave this on, otherwise it won't be able to get around the map properly. For auto harvest, you can turn this on and they'll say how often you want it to harvest. I would just leave it at 30 minutes, or if you want to let it have a little bit more time to let your plants get mutated, then you can do 60 or 120 minutes. But I actually recommend just not using it unless you are still a beginner and you're doing like the bamboo method or something. Then we have auto plant. You can turn this on. Once again, this is only for really if you're still using the bamboo method. You can click the settings here, and we'll say how often you want it to plant, and then it'll show the plots of your garden. You can click on these, so if I click on this bottom left one, then it will be planting in this plot right here. So if I click on this, then you can type in the name of the seed that you would want it to be buying, or that you would want it to be planting. So I'm just going to type bamboo in, and then you'll see the plot turns brown and it shows the seed that it's planting. Then you can do the same seed in multiple different plots, like this. So I want bamboo in both of these, or you can put different seeds. So let's just say for some reason I'm planting mangoes, I don't know. And then let's say mushrooms here. But do note, if you do turn on auto plant, it is going to use all of the seeds that you have of that type. So be careful. And also don't type the word seed into the auto plant settings, because then what it does is it clicks on the seeds tab, and because of the way that searching works, if I type here, let's just put bamboo seeds in my inventory. If I type bamboo, then it only shows the bamboo seed. But if I type bamboo seed, it shows all the seeds because they all have the word seed in them. So if you run out of bamboo, it'll start planting whatever the first seed in your inventory would be after that. So then it would be planting like my mangoes, and I don't want it auto-planting mangoes, I just want it auto-planting bamboo. Okay, and then you can set how often you want it to do that. I would just do it the same amount of time that you're harvesting for. And then we have auto sell plants. This will just automatically sell whatever is in your inventory. Okay, and then we have wait for restocks. I would leave this on. You don't really need to mess with it unless something's not working. So what it does, turning the setting on makes the macro wait until the shops restock before buying from them again. When the setting is off, the macro will just repeatedly loop through all the shops you have selected. So yeah, I would just leave it on so it's not double buying. And then move speed, this is actually very important. To find your move speed, add up the total move speed buff from your pets, and then add 16 to that number. This must be correct, or the macro will not be able to walk. So the default move speed is 16. You can see I'm only using a deer and an owl, but if I was using, let's say, a bunny, I don't know where my bunny went. I have it equipped. Okay, whatever. But now, hops around your garden and boosts your walk speed by +5. So then, in my move speed, I would type 21 instead of 16. And then finally, the garden size. This is only important if you're doing auto harvest. Set this to the number of rows of plots your garden has. Not plots, rows of plots. So my garden is not fully expanded, you can see. And if you take a look, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 rows of plots. So I'm going to change my garden size from 1 to 4. Then in the Roblox tab, we have your camera mode position. This isn't really important, it was only important in older versions of the macro. Then we have the hotkeys tab. So we have start hotkey, pause hotkey, and stop hotkey. You can change these to whatever you like. They're defaulted to F1, F2, and F3. Then in the positioning tab, the only one that you should really need to set is your backpack button position, because this is the one that varies the most. But if one of these two, if the macro isn't clicking on them correctly, you can set those. So I'm just going to show you how it works with my backpack. So then click where your backpack button is located, you click OK, and then you just click right in the center of the backpack button, and it says like, okay, backpack button set at X191, Y24. And then the macro will use those coordinates instead of the default ones. Then finally we have the Reconnect tab. So you can turn on auto reconnect. Just note that it is a little buggy at times. It's not perfect, so just be warned about that. I'm trying to find solutions for that. If you want, you can make it join a public server, but I wouldn't recommend it, because then people are going to be stealing from your garden. Then for your private server link, you need to get this in a way that you might not think. So the way you actually get this link is you go to your server, you copy your server link, then you go up to your top bar, your URL bar, paste in the link, then click enter, and then it'll redirect you once and then twice, take you to a new link, and this is the link that you're going to copy and paste back into the macro. Okay, and then once you're done editing your settings, you can click save. And then now there are just a couple settings we need to go over in Roblox before you can actually run the macro. So what you need to do is you need to go to your Roblox menu, go to settings, and then you want to make sure your shift lock switch is off, your camera mode should be set to default classic, your camera sensitivity should be set to 1, and your UI navigation toggle should be on. Then once those are all done, you can press F1 or click the start button in the macro to run it, and then the macro will start by aligning the camera, and it'll go through its whole process. And then you'll notice once you stop the macro, it'll actually give you a log of everything that it purchased while you were away. And if you ever want to refer back to these logs, you can open up the reports folder in your macro, and it'll have hourly reports from all of the different hours that the macro ran. So let's just take a look at this one. Let's see, 1 a.m. on June 19th. And let's see, okay, during this hour it bought 86 bamboo and 7 mushrooms. So then you can just have a quick little log of everything that the macro is buying for you. Okay, that's about all for the tutorial. Now, one last thing I do want to say is that if you are having any trouble with the macro, things aren't working like they should be, you can't get something to work properly, please just let me know in the comments. I'm happy to take any feedback, fix any bugs that you are having, so that you can have the best experience with the macro. Now, please, before you comment though, I am going to put a pinned comment with issues that are already solved. And if you are having one of these issues, please do not comment about it. I know that they are issues that are happening. And I either know that they are issues that are happening and I'm actively working on fixing them, or there's something that's already solved, you just didn't set something up properly. But please be as specific as possible when you're describing your issue, so I can know exactly what's wrong. Alright, that's all for the tutorial. Thank you all for watching. I hope that you are now able to make millions, if not billions, of shekels thanks to my macro. Bye!